Hello friends, I welcome you all to this online session of a BA Part 3 Understanding Drama. In the last session, we screened a small video on types of drama and tried to cover all the significant subgenres of a drama. So in this session, let us continue with discussing about drama, so types of drama, and try to understand how these different genres are different from each other. So let us continue. See, in the last semester, we have already seen that drama is originated and how drama is originated in the church yard, and how it flourished through the Globe Theatre of Shakespeare. So from that, uh, even before that, even from the Greek literary tradition, you can see that there are several of the uh, types of drama uh, are categorized by the scholars of drama and even the dramatists. So let us continue with this unit. See, the objective of this unit is to discuss in detail the kinds of a drama that we see being performed or read. So both you can see the uh, drama has two mediums. One is a medium of a theater, medium of a stage, and another is a medium of a words, that is the written drama. So in both these categories, in in theater drama and in written drama, you can see this categorization of, or the subgenres of drama are explicit. So plays are categorized and labeled as a tragedy, comedy, history, problem plays, poetic drama, epic drama, the theater of the absurd, etc. So you can even the black theater, dark theater, so the theater of cruelty. There are several subgenres of drama, and most of the subgenres of drama were categorized as per their thematic concerns. For example, problem play. You can see the social problem is explored. Historical play, a historical event is explored. Julius Caesar, you can categorize it as under a historical play. So the thematic concern of a drama becomes important while categorizing it. So we categorize drama with the help of its thematic concern, and as a result of that, we see even there are few subcategories like one act play, two act play. Structure wise also we can categorize the play. The present unit explains as to how these distinctions are made, what reasons behind the specific labels are, as I am discussing with you. So we are supposed to understand why we are calling a particular play as a comedy, or why we are calling particular play as a tragedy. What are the characteristics of comedy? What are the characteristics of a tragedy? What are the significant plays categorized under comedy, or what are the significant plays categorized under tragedy? All these things we are supposed to learn in this session. So the present unit explains as to how these distinctions are made, what reasons behind the specific labels are, and what time period has been responsible for their growth as social and political. You can see, as we were discussing in a poetry paper as the Victorian age, we discussed in detail about the social, cultural, political, economic milieu of the period, because it influences the literature. Similarly, while thinking about the types of drama, you can see the social or political phenomena, social, political, cultural phenomena becomes important to understand that which play, why the playwrights define, or why the playwright use these categories or these subgenres instead of using previous one. For example, problem play, you can see the social problems were reflected, even the individual problems were reflected. So that is the frustration of the contemporary period that is reflected in the play. Their zeal for the social welfare, their zeal for social upliftment, and for that purpose they were exploring the problems of the society, and it is categorized as a problem play. So this is what you can see is the significant thing to know. Note that the social and political milieu also influences the dramatist to adapt a specific subgenre of a drama. So this is what we are discussing. The unit has subdivisions on Indian classic Sanskrit theatre, which discuss the Indian aesthetic theory. One would do well not to ignore Sanskrit drama, as it has been landmark development in the growth of theatre at the world level. Of course, yes, when we read about Natya Shastra by Bharat Muni, you can see everything is explored in it, even the types, even the costume of the heroine, how to erect a theater, all these things were explored uh, illustratively in Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. Even ragas, rangas, everything is explored in Natya Shastra. So it is a phenomenal book, not only though it is written in India or written in Sanskrit. You can see it is a phenomenal seminal book in understanding a drama even at the world level. So this also initiates the growth of drama as a part of a new literature, which includes Spanish, German, French, Indian dramatic writing, etc. We are not concerned with all these things. We will stick to the types of drama. We will try to understand the characteristics of tragedy. We will try to understand the characteristics of a comedy and all other subgenres of a drama. We are not concerned with all these things. We are also not supposed to discuss Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra because it is prescribed to you at MA level. It is not prescribed to you at a BA level. But you should know that as you are opting for this special English and for a drama paper, you should know that there is a seminal text in India written in a Sanskrit language that even influences the world theatre, and that is a Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra. So let us begin. Different types of a drama have existed down the ages, from Greek classical theatre to the present time. Of course, yes. From Greek theatre, you can see, if you are keen in understanding Greek theatre, Greek classical theatre, there are four playwrights from this Greek classical theatre, and I think Sahitya Akademi has published their works in collection. If you go to the government printing press, you will get these books, the volumes that uh, that contains the Greek classical plays. So if you are interested in that, you can go to the government printing press and purchase that. It also cost very economic, very low. I think it is for 30 rupees or so, but it is very interesting to read. So you can see from Greek classical theatre to the present time, you can see there are subcategories of drama, subgenres of drama. We are very much concerned with the labels, whether it is a tragedy or whether it is a comedy, whether it is a problem play. We are concerned with that. So as a result of that, you can see there is a long illustrative history of every type of literature, every type of subgenre of drama, every type of a drama. So if you think about a tragedy, you can see, you can connect this, the history of a tragedy, from Greek playwrights, the four playwrights I mentioned. So you can see you have to draw history of a tragedy from this particular point, that is the Greek drama. Or if you want to comedy, you can see you should think about Shakespearean comedies. Or if you want to think about a tragicomedies, you can see there is also a illustrative history of a tragicomedy. So this is what you should understand, that there, from Greek classical drama to the present era contemporary modern theater, we have different types of a drama, different subgenres of a drama. So we have already read about the origin and growth of a drama in the first semester. Of course, yes, we read origin and development of drama in the first semester. We see that how drama originated in a court, sorry, churchyard, and how it explored through the globe theater of Shakespeare, and how it reached to the common public in after Victorian period or in a modern theater, how it reached to the common public. So we have already discussed about the origin, how it is originated, and how it reached to the contemporary period, how it becomes a popular medium to express or popular literary art that gets an ample social and political understanding. So sorry, responses. So this is what we have already read, this origin and growth of drama in our first semester. Let us answer a few questions about drama which help us understand the different kinds of drama: entertaining, realistic, romantic, relations based, theme oriented, etc. So all these things you can see, whether it is entertaining, whether it is realistic, whether it is romantic, you should ask this question to the drama and try to understand the answer of it, and the answer of it is a type of a drama. So this is what is the type of drama we will begin with a tragedy. Tragedy is also very important subgenre of drama. Aristotle first defined tragedy in his Poetics around 330 BC. You can see the history of a tragedy. Tragedy is defined in Poetics by Aristotle in 330 BC. So this is the history of a tragedy. So tragedy is a form that is even exist before 330 BC. So you can see that, therefore I told you that every type of a drama has an illustrative history. Illustrative history. Though they are the part of a drama, you can see that every type has a different tradition, different contributors. So therefore it becomes very important or significant to understand all the types to when we were discussing, when we were trying to understand a drama. So he defined a tragedy as the imitation of an action that is serious and also have magnitude complete in itself. See, this is the definition of a tragedy. This is a very significant thing that we should understand well. We will repeat the same and then we will continue to understand it. So let us read this again and again. The imitation of an action. What is tragedy? Tragedy is an imitation of an action. It is imitation of an action. So every drama, in fact, not only a tragedy, but every drama, what is it? Or it is an imitation of an action. What we saw on a stage, we saw on a stage that few characters were speaking with each other, or they were acting something, or they were, for example, Julius Caesar's assassination, or Julius Caesar's murder, you can see, or King Duncan's murder. What we saw, what we see that it is enacted, the murder is actually enacted on the stage. Especially Julius Caesar's murder is enacted on the stage, or it is revealed through the speeches of the characters. So this is the imitation of the action. Action is already done, already happened in the history, that is Julius Caesar's murder, and this action is imitated on the stage by the Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. So this is what this is an historical play. So you can see the action is happened in history and it is imitated on the stage. So the imitation of an action that is a serious. And when we think about Julius Caesar is also, though it is an historical play, it is also a tragedy. Tragedy of a Julius Caesar. So uh, uh, the imitation of an action that is serious and also having a magnitude complete in itself. It is a complete uh, action. And when we think about tragedy, you can see that it is serious in its nature. It is not a light one. It is not creating a, or it is not meant for an entertainment. It is not meant for the light emotions, but it is meant for a darker emotions, strong emotions, strong feelings. So this is what the important, the imitation of an action that is serious and also having magnitude complete in itself. the medium of a poetic language and in the manner of a dramatic rather than of narrative presentation, involving incidents arousing pity and fear, wherewith to accomplish the catharsis of such emotions. So there is a separate theory of a catharsis. Theory of a catharsis. I think it is also prescribed to you in your paper of a criticism. So you see, when we watch a or when we witness a tragedy, what we feel? We feel pity and fear. We fear that this kind of tragedy should not happen with us, and we pity for the protagonist. We pity for the Julius Caesar that his real or near dear friend kills him. So this is what you can see is a incidents arousing a pity and fear. And when we watch in pity and fear, it gives you a feeling of a catharsis that you feel relief after watching a tragedy. So this is what, and this catharsis of emotions, catharsis of a emotions. We feel extreme pity. Even many times you can see most of us when we were watching a very emotional film, few of us they start gathering tears in their eyes. So this is what you can see is a the thing called as a catharsis of emotions. So for this tragedy has a potential of a catharsis of a emotions. So this is what the definition of a Aristotle. So let us repeat this again. Understand that I will ask you the questions about all these things. Poetics around 330 BC. I will ask you who defined the tragedy for the first time in history. Aristotle. When? 330 BC. So you are, remember this because we don't know whether we were for the last examination whether we were going for a written examination or whether we were going again for the online multiple choice question. So in that perspective we should be prepare ourselves, and even not only for the drama, even for the compulsory English and even for the paper of a poetry, we are also arranging certain online test for it. I think I have completed Victorian poetry, sorry, Victorian age, so I am designing a paper, online paper on a or online test on a Victorian age. So let us continue this. So the imitation of an action that is serious and also as having magnitude complete in itself in medium of a poetic language. So it is always in a poetic language. You can see language of a tragedy is always a poetic. So many times you can see when we were there, when a death is there and they people start crying, they there is also a kind of a poetic language is there. So this is what the medium of a tragedy according to Aristotle. I am not saying that in modern drama also we see the dramatists were using a poetic, that is not the case, but in ancient time in Greek tragedy you can see its medium of a tragedy is a poetic language and in a manner of a dramatic rather than of a narrative presentation. It is a manner of a dramatic, it is a melodramatic scene, dramatic scene on the uh, stage. It is not a narrative one. Though it is a poetic, it is not a narrative. It is a dramatic because it we feel it on the stage. We feel it. So this is what narrative presentation instead of dramatic presentation is preferred. Involving, this is a very important sentence, that is incidents arousing, sorry, the incidents arousing pity and fear wherewith to accomplish the catharsis of such a emotions. So these things, these tragedies, explode these tragedies gives you a kind of a catharsis that purge, purify you from the emotions, strong emotions like a pity and fear. Both these uh, emotions were purified. So this is what a tragedy, this is the definition of a tragedy. Then Aristotle says that tragic hero will evoke pity and fear if he is neither thoroughly good nor thoroughly bad, but a mixture of both, but is certainly better than we are in the sense that he is of higher than ordinary moral worth. So this is also a very significant sentence here. Aristotle, this is again, you can see tragic hero. This is a term that is used by an Aristotle. The two terms we came across by Aristotle, one is catharsis and second is this a tragic hero. So while writing answer, you should mention this, and even who is the origin, who used this tragic hero as, who explored tragic hero. Aristotle explored the tragic hero. So how this tragic hero evoke pity and fear if he is neither thoroughly good nor thoroughly bad. You can understand the Macbeth. I have mentioned that it many times in the first semester. What is, who Macbeth is not a good, not a bad, but he is a higher than a ordinary worth. He is a higher than an ordinary worth, but not a good, not a bad. Because when he is returning from war, there are few witches. They say that you will be a king, and that triggers motivation. That triggers a aspiration to be a king. So he kills Duncan and become a king, and afterwards he is also uh, uh, get slaughtered in the war. So this is what a Macbeth is a tragic hero. He is not good, not a bad, not a good, not. It is his luck that he becomes a bad and he kills the King Duncan. So and though it is he is not good or bad, he is better than we are in the sense that he is of a higher than ordinary moral worth. So this is what a tragic hero, and as a result of that, such a kind of characteristic or such a kind of a protagonist, you can see it evoke pity and fear. We pity the protagonist and we fear about his actions. So this is what is a tragedy. So we will stop here and we will continue it in the next session. In this session we have understood about tragedy. We understand that from Greek classical theatre to the present time, there are different subgenres of a drama, types of a drama, and we have started in this session discussing about a tragedy. So in tragedy, we see the two important thing, one or two important concept. One is a catharsis, and second is a tragic hero. We also come across the definition of a Aristotle. He explored this definition in his seminal book Poetics in 330. So and we understood it, read it again and again and try to understand the definition of a tragedy. So we will stop here and continue the same in the next session. Thank you for listening.